It is Drug Awareness Week here on Kaya. And right next to me, I've got a man in a lovely brown jacket. His name is Dali. He's not Salvador Dali, the painter. He was, in fact, a hijacker. A hijacker and also a recovering drug addict.
A hijacker on a car show. How cool is that?
I think it's perfect. Hello, Dali.
Hello, Mel. How are you?
Yeah, we're great. Listen, I want to cut straight to the chase.
Okay.
So you've been in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you get out?
I got out of prison in 2013.
So you've been out for 3 years now?
3 years now, yeah.
And what were you sentenced for?
I was sentenced for car hijacking, basically.
Car hijacking, the guy we all hate.
Oh, yeah.
The one like we're always saying, you better be careful at that corner because they're hijackers.
Exactly.
So tell me, what did you used to do?
There's drug habit. You know, when you grew up being into drugs and then doing all those funny things, you now have to catch up with the habit of feeding whatever.
Yeah, of course, you need money.
Yeah, so when you need money now, there are times when you now get too desperate and then you don't get those funds. Anyway, maybe in the house, then you start now doing all those criminal activities.
Well,
that's
the
what
question I was
Six
going
was going to ask you.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Which came first? Was it the drugs and then you had to start hijacking to feed the habit? Or were you a hijacker and to take the edge off, you were doing drugs?
Basically, it started about the drug problem thing. Because now, when you hooked into drugs, it's like they become your lifestyle. There's nothing else that you do besides them. So when you like need that next fix and then you don't know what to do, you just lose it and then end up doing stupid things. So I ended up entertaining crime just to feed that habit that I had at the time.
And what were the drugs you were most addicted to?
Mostly I was addicted to Mendrax, of which they used to call Ipele.
Ipele.
Yeah.
Ipele.
Yeah. Dacha and some alcohol now and then. But
not
mostly,
Nyaupe.
Nyaupe was never there in our days.
You would have had it if there was.
I don't think so, because it's too dangerous. Nyaupe is too addictive and it kills. Almost every day we had the cemeteries burying people because of Nyaupe, so that one is quite highly addictive. I won't even.
But Mandrax is a drug that a lot of carjackers, maybe criminals, really actually get pretty wasted on. Hey?
Yeah, in those days when I grew up, it was quite popular. It was the in thing because there was no like a huge variety of drugs as there is today. Back in the day, it was you would find your Dacha, your Mandrax, maybe your coke and there's other stuff, but now you find there's cat, there's Nyaupe, there's crystal, there's a whole lot of other drugs that I found out about them when I came out of prison. Some of them we used to hear about them in prison, but I actually experienced it and saw how are they affecting people out when I came out of prison.
So just give me a bit of a picture of the typical day. You'd wake up in the morning, you'd use drugs, and then how would you decide like who to target? What would you actually do?
Basically, we wouldn't like maybe wake up and target somebody, because when you're like doing crime, what you do would plan. Obviously, running out of cash, what is there we can do? Maybe we'll just plan maybe tonight later on, maybe we'll go to town and then we'll see whatever that we can find.
If there's an opportunity.
If there's an opportunity, then we'll grab whatever that we can grab and then go sell it just to go and feed the habit, because the thing that pushes you the most, it's the cravings that you find, and then so that's what you mostly want to satisfy, the cravings.
You know, I mean, I'm going to bring a little bit now with my story. I mean, I've been clean for 16 years, but at one time I was a very hectic crack and heroin addict, and I found myself in Hillbrow, and I kind of hooked up with guys like you. I did. And
is it a compliment or was it a backhanded...
Well, I mean, maybe I didn't hook up with you, I don't think, but I was so trashed I wouldn't have actually known who I hooked up with. But there was one particular day where I got a lift with a guy, a couple of carjackers and basically robbers. And all they wanted to do was find out where my family lived, and then they would go and rob the house. I was so badly... sucked in by my drugs, and all I needed was drugs. And I remember thinking, should I tell them where my brother is? Should I?
Yeah,
And there was, then I decoyed them to somebody else.
Okay.
But I mean, I was living with quite a dangerous group of people. I was staying in Hillbrow. I know exactly that type of waking up in the morning. Your nose is itching, your skin is itching,
Exactly.
and you're just thinking, I just need a hit. I don't have any money. If I can just get out there. And what I did, because I was like a suburban junkie, I wasn't exactly like hardcore. I was pretending I was a lot more dangerous maybe than what I was. I just like hooked onto guys like you.
Okay.
And I mean,
Mel, but listen, we know all about you. We want to hear more about you. But aren't we being a bit rude? That's why we got our audience here.
yes, we really are. So
Yes,
I mean,
so-
you guys I know are recovering addicts. Let's bust their anonymity. You're all sitting there. I know some of you from NA meetings. It's really nice of you all to have joined us tonight. You're listening to this, and I'm sure each one of you have got your own memory, story around your own using. And I'd love to hear from someone out there how your life was when you were using your particular substance.
Okay, Mel, I'll ask someone.
Okay.
Hi. Good
Hi.
evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Reno Palmer. I can relate so much to what Dali is saying because, like with my active addiction, like we used to wake up in the morning, plan everything, and from there we just take it from there, one hit after another hit, because our life was like, we like stole to smoke and we smoked to steal. So there's just one question for like Dali, like with me, I don't have that urge to like smoke no more, but sometimes just that thoughts of stealing comes to my mind. But now recently I like got a job and everything, but sometimes that thought still lingers in my mind and everything. So I just want to find out from you, like what did you do just to erase that thoughts of theft in your mind? Because now you're clean now, like you're looking good, no more stealing and everything. So what did you do? Because sometimes that's what bothers me most of the time.
Yeah, I think what worked for me, it was that when actually I got into prison, I started participating in a number of projects. And then I became this spiritual person mostly before I quitted everything. So during that process of praying and doing all those other activities that were done in prison, as then when I realized that these things that I'm doing, they're just not working for me, they're just not too good for me. So I think being able to shy away from what I love mostly, because in prison you would like get all these type of things. Drugs were easily accessible, everything was there, your dacha and your whatsoever. But now it goes back to an individual is to say, I'm tired of this life, I do no longer want this, this is what I want. And then that's when now rehabilitation starts to take place, and then you become a better person eventually, day by day. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes time. But when you've like accepted that this is who you are, these are mistakes that you've done, and you don't want to go back there, and then you start forgiving yourself, then you can heal, and then you can become a better person.
Mel, I've found that drugs is not age related.
No, it's not.
Okay. There's a young lady here that I'd like to ask a question to. Would you mind?
I don't mind.
Tell us your name.
My name is Marissa April.
And how old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
And when did you get into drugs?
At the age of 16.
At the age of 16. What was it that, you did? Did you just try it because your peers were doing it? Did you feel you had to do it? Was it just once off?
I was doing it because my peers done it, and I was like peer influenced, and then I just heard it's nice and just one pool, and then I indulged, and then I got hooked.
And now you're on the road to recovery?
Yes, I'm 90 days clean today.
Yay.
Yay. So Mel, it seems like nobody is safe from it.
No, and I know there's a particular woman sitting in the audience, Darylene James. Thanks for coming, Darylene. There's another whole struggle. There are a lot of us that have been drug addicts ourselves, and there are also then the mothers and the parents and the families who have to deal with an addict in their lives. And you are someone who's done an incredible amount of work in your community and had personal experience with a son who's had an absolutely very, very challenging time with drugs. Please just tell us a bit about yourself and what you've been doing.
Thank you, Mel. I always start by introducing myself as a mum in recovery, recovering from being addicted to my son's addiction. And my son started using at the age of 14. He's clean for just over 100 days now.
Wow.
He's 20 years old, so he's been using for, I think, about 6 years. And it's been a battle, it's been a struggle, but today I've realized that the reason why we don't cope as parents because there's not enough support out there for us as parents, and everyone's sort of dictating to you what to do, what the solution is, and all of that. Living with an addict, I'm not even sure. I never know how to quite explain it. Your life is unmanageable. I became like a drug addict. I would sleep for days on end, being depressed, not knowing what to do. I wouldn't eat because I fear something's going to happen to my son. I'm going to get that knock on the door. I wouldn't socialize with family members because of the pressures of what are you doing about your situation. So I wouldn't, I couldn't concentrate at work because, you go to your boss and you would say to them, I booked him in at a rehab, and 2 months later when he relapses, they say to you, oh, but I thought you sorted out this problem last month. So it's about ducking and diving, and, you almost feel as if though it's your fault. And everyone expects you to do something about it. Everyone says, put him out, that's going to happen. Everyone says, get him arrested, that's going to help, and you end up doing all of these things. I remember paying cops to beat up my son because people said that would help. I remember sending him to a private school because everyone said, remove him from the environment, that would help. And like the very transport that was the guy that they were traveling with to the private school was giving him the drugs to sell at the school. He's been in and out of various rehabs, 7 rehabs later. It was, you end up going to the justice system thinking, you do a involuntary intake into rehab and you go there and everyone just fails you. And it's just blame shifting and pointing fingers. And a couple of years back, I think it's 2 years, I visited Sharp. I actually called David Collins from Sharp Rehabilitation Center back then, and I remember my first session that I had with him. He actually asked me to go out on a movie date, on a movie night, and I was thinking, yeah, I am, asking for help and advice for my son, and this man's telling me that I need to go to movies. It was then, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, that response that I got, but I was so desperate for help that I was prepared to try anything, even though it sounded crazy. And I must tell you, Mel, that I needed to be well. In order for my son to recover, it was important for me to project recovery, and I needed to pull myself towards myself. I needed to get up every morning, show up, get dressed, put on some red lipstick if I have to.
And she is gorgeous,
And
Kai. I have to just tell you that Darylene is just like absolutely gorgeous.
I have to
Thank
agree.
you.
Siggy's can't stop
I have
looking.
to agree.
Yeah, he's
I have to
agreeing.
agree. You notice how quiet I was.
Yeah, she's a stunner.
If she thinks I was listening to whatever she's saying.
And he's going date night. Okay, so yeah.
She's saying movies.
I think this is what a mum in recovery looks like. And it is because I was determined to pull myself.
He said, "Mom."
Listen, I've seen you when your son has been in addiction. We did a with David Collins
Yes,
again. We
yes.
did a recovery coaching whole course together, and
Yes.
that was at the height of his addiction. And I remember you showing photos
Yeah.
of him being beaten up, and I could
Yes.
see you were so broken. You were still beautiful,
Thank
but you
you.
were so broken. And it's just amazing to see with your son 100 days clean how the radiance has returned to you.
Yes, I feel like like you've just given birth to someone again. I cannot explain it. It's like, when your child is on drugs, it almost feels as if though he's dead. You just see this image of this person, but there's deep pain associated with someone that has left you. But yes, my encouragement to all the mums out there and to everyone out there is addiction does not discriminate. It happens to the best of us, the worst of us, black, white, Indian, whatever. And my encouragement out there is let us stop discriminating against drug addicts. My belief is that no person wants to be a drug addict.
I agree.
I think that all they need is just for people to listen, to stop dictating, and to support.
That's beautiful, Darylene. You know, this is the time of year, it's July 6th, it's cold, it's freezing, and 17 years ago, I was on the streets of Hillbrow. I was broken, I was homeless, I had lost my family, my sons, my husband. Every single thing about my life was in absolute ruins. And all I was doing was going to between hotels, trying to sort of con dealers to give me drugs because I didn't have any money. And I kept looking at Ponty, thinking, that's the next step. I'll just go on top of Ponty and I'm going to jump off. It was after a very, very bad time in my life that I was feeling that low. And I have been asked by the producer to read a little bit from my first book, Smacked, which I wrote when I was about 5 years clean. So that's what I'm going to do, Mkai. I'm going to just read a little extract from my first book, Smacked. I have a gun in my mouth. I don't know much about guns, but the taste of the metal makes me want to gag. It's 1999, 3 a.m. on a Saturday, Hillbrow, Johannesburg, and I've never been more terrified in my life. There are 4 people in the one-room dingy flat on Soper Road. A Nigerian dealer, 2 colored gangsters, and me. Open your legs, a surly Scarface specimen called Babyface instructs me. I'm huddled in a frozen ball, my hands pressing my knees together. Please don't rape me. My voice is small, my lips mercury cold. I'm a broken bird. No crying, just a crackled whimper. Oh God, this can't be happening to me. The terror, the fear gets the better of me. Hysteria rises. Shoot me, don't rape me. Shoot me, don't rape me. Shoot me, don't rape me. The words are a desperate mantra. God's not listening. The gun thuds into my temple. Pistol whipped. Metal on skull silences me. Blank out. I don't like sex, he grins. I like rape. He unzips his trousers. It's all slow motion now. Please wear a condom, I whisper. Weirdly, he obliges. In this moment that is extended like elastic in time, I'm vaguely relieved. Safe sex, no diseases, no AIDS, gonorrhea, or STDs. It's insane. I'm about to be raped, and I'm relieved that latex is going to put some weird distance between the sicko and me. I'm going to stop reading there, but I have to tell you that these people I'd been hanging out with, and I'd been smoking crack with them. And somewhere in the night, the guys decided they wanted sex or rape or whatever they wanted, and I was literally just there, and I was the person they were going to do that to. But the most terrible thing, I was in such addiction at that time. After I was raped, I couldn't even get up and go to the police. I just sat there and asked them for a rock. And I smoked with my rapists. I never reported them. I had so little care for my life at that time that I was literally just waiting to die in a way. And so, I mean, this time of year always reminds me of this really hectic space that I was in, and then this recovery that I found, and this beautiful life. I mean, I'm here with Sagie. I'm here with you all in a room. I've got a beautiful life. I've written books. I'm clean and sober for nearly 17 years, and it's a miracle.
And I've just got to ask Dali something, because it's been bugging me. So, and Dali's, for those Mkayas who've just joined us, Dali's a recovering drug addict and former hijacker. Would I be right in saying that, Dali? You recovered. Right. You recovered.
You recovered hijacker.
You're done with this? All right, so now that you're done, how about a couple of tips for the Mkayas out there?
Not for other hijackers.
Oh, no. Really? No, that's what I was going to ask. Anyway, yeah. I'm driving along, and you get, now there's signboards that don't say potholes anymore. It says hot spot for hijacking.
Yeah.
I mean, how do I know where to look for you? I mean, not you, but former you.
I would say the basic tip that I would give out to drivers mostly is just try to be alert at all times when you're on the road, because they'll tell you that sorry about that, this is the hotspot, only to find out that it's not a hotspot, because of criminals know about hotspots, so they don't usually go to hotspot. So you want to put your focus on the hotspot. When you start relaxing after the hotspot, then when troubles happen.
Okay, so that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
That's a very valid point.
Like, why would the guys
go there to the hotspot to hijack?
Exactly.
Yes.
So you should try to be vigilant at all times and try to be on the safe side.
All the time.
All the time.
Like all the time.
All the
Jeez.
time. All the time. Because you cannot tell if a hotspot is not a hotspot. Because the signs, everything will tell me it's a hotspot. I, as a former criminal, would never go to a place that I know it's a hotspot. So,
Because that's where I'm vigilant.
exactly. So I would wait for you maybe to be in a spot. Maybe they would pounce on you easily, and then basically.
Wow, so you
Yeah, I never thought of that
Yeah,
one, eh?
I didn't. I always think, oh, hotspot.
Hotspot, okay, I'm out past here.
Okay, now I know you're not a car hijacker, Sandra, but you've got a fabulous face. I haven't really met you, but I do know that you are newly sober.
Yes, I am.
And tell us, how many days sober are you?
I'm 50 days sober now. And
Yay.
it's great. Thank you, guys.
And
That's-
how is your life feeling?
right now, I feel like a human being. I'm part of my own life. I'm part of life at home. I'm part of my kids. I'm part of my life because, in my active addiction, I was so distant from everything. I was just a zombie walking around, just waiting to get to the nearest bar and then just get a drink, And so far, I think I'm coming back to myself spiritually. I'm getting strong. I'm growing, and as a person also, I'm just better as a member of the family. I'm sure my mom would agree and say, "Well, I have my child back now."
Yeah.
I got to ask everybody here something. How easy it is to just slip, just that one. I can handle it. I can handle this. I know I can, and you just take that one hit, and then you backed all the way down again. How easy it is to go backwards.
I'm Karabo Tau, and I'd like to say it is really easy to go back. If you go to NA meetings and AA meetings, you do know, you are told that one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Because that one hit is the hit that is going to make you regret that first hit. You regret disappointing the people around you. I've been clean for 1 year and 7 months, going for 8 months.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying my life 10 times more than I used to enjoy it.
Karabo, what drugs were you using?
Anything.
Anything, like more?
My drug of choice was cat and cocaine. But I've been through rock, I've been through Mandrex, I've been through the works, Whatever it is that's gonna get me high at that point in time, let me have it. I've had your crystal, I've had it all,
And how, the kind of those days of using, and how's your life now?
I've got no words for my life now. Like, I enjoy it so much. Waking up in the morning, knowing that I don't have to duck and dive. I don't have to hide away from anyone. Being able to answer a private call because there's no one that it's pretty amazing. I enjoy recovery because it is the way of life. That's what I feel. That's my personal experience from being in active addiction and being out of active addiction. Being clean is the best thing ever.
Mkaya, you might be in the car and you might be listening to the show and wondering, is this a car show or is this a psychologist show? Are people going mad on the Joyride tonight because we're talking about drugs and recovery? But maybe you're feeling like a fix right now while you're driving in the car. Maybe you're thinking, I really need another drink. I don't want to go home. My wife's going to get on my nerves. I need another drink. Maybe you're feeling that maybe things have got a little bit too much in your life, and maybe something that's being said tonight is making you think maybe it's time that I might want to stop. There is help. I got help, and all the people I know in this room got help from Narcotics Anonymous. It's on the internet, www.na.org.za. You can search that address, and you can find meetings all over the country, in most towns, at least 5 in Joburg, 6, 8, 10 in Joburg a night. Just maybe it's time that you might want to start changing things in your life. Okay, now how about the man at the back who's got the mic? Hello, what's your name?
Evening, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And how are you?
I'm Tabang from Atteridgeville, Tabang Motoga from Atteridgeville.
Hi,
from
Tabang.
hashtag Nyaope Must Fall movement. I'm not a recovering service user. But we as an organization, we deal with this, we call it street kids, day-to-day street kids, because one of our addicts was interviewed from Kaya FM, I think around about 11 a.m. So my point is, for parents, it's support, community support, leaders support. Besides that, we are not going anywhere. But I'm glad we as a movement, we are getting support from the business side of Pretoria West now, and also from Atteridgeville. But it's a slow pace, but we are getting there. And I'm so glad that Kaya made these things available. I want to put you in something that you do this once a month. I think in 2 years' time, 50% rate will be getting somewhere.
That's such a beautiful idea.
It's a slow pace, but we will be getting somewhere. And I'm also glad we are having recovering addict. It keeps me going. We are volunteering. It keeps me going strong to hear stories like this. Without hearing stories, we are not getting anywhere. But I'm just so glad.
You know, the thing is, I know when I walked into my first meeting, I was so trashed. But when I saw people that had had like 30 days clean, and I couldn't imagine having 1 hour clean. People with 30 days or even 20, you know, 1 day seemed like a lifetime. And I saw people with 1 year clean. And it was such an amazing incentive and such an amazing kind of hope. So addicts sharing this kind of recovery give other people who are in that position in the darkness of addiction hope that they can actually find this light.
You know, Mel, I'd like to ask, and I know it's, I've been told, because, you know, my wife's in the medical profession.
Yes.
And she's regularly told me addiction is a disease.
Yes.
And should be looked upon as such. It's not something an addict can just say, okay, you know, I can throw this away, or I can go on a diet, or that kind of thing. It's an illness.
It is.
And it must be treated as such.
I believe that.
Is that it? That's it?
You know, the thing is, I think it is almost like cancer of the brain. And if a person has cancer, you don't just throw them to the bottom of the alleyways and reject them. If somebody has cancer, people have sympathy, people have an understanding, and people don't understand that addiction and disease should be mentioned in the same subject. I'm not saying people should take pity on the car hijacker who's smoking mandrax and who's going to hurt them, but unless we as a society start caring about those that are broken, and there are many broken people in South Africa, many broken people, and many who are using. Okay, hello, good evening.
Hi, I'm Lemogang Matlong.
Hi, Lemogang.
From Sharpeville. And I like what you just asked about addiction being a disease. I think a lot of people need to be made aware of that. A lot of people undermine it and think we just want to have fun. But at the end of the day, it's not really about that. It's a deeper struggle. You know, I love the extract that you read from your book. I actually read your book before I went into recovery.
Oh, good.
And
hey, girl, you finally helped someone.
I finally did.
You finally helped someone.
Finally.
And that exact piece that you read is something I went through too, where I was gang raped in a bar and woke up the next morning and continued with my addiction, you know, because it was just pulling me and pulling me and pulling me. And I wish a lot of people understood that. It's a disease, because what sane person would continue in the addiction? Thank you.
Thank you, Lebogang.
What I've found is that the police, and I'm not saying all of them, take a very dim view of an addict getting beaten up, or like you say, raped, or whatever. They'll say, oh, well, that's an addict.
And they deserve it.
Has anyone experienced that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that one even feels so bad about yourself at that point. You don't even think you're worthy of a report to police. And absolutely, at the time I was using, police were raping the addicts anyway. So, I mean, let's not even get too far into that. Yeah. And there's Mr. Mervyn.
Hello, I'm
Gorgeous
Mervyn.
Mr. Mervyn. Good evening.
Canham. I am an addict. Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of the points, and for me, it's about, I like what you had to say about loving the addict and not shaming him. And for me, if we can move to that place of love and acceptance and supporting the addict instead of shunning them away and you're a terrible person. And I mean, in the beginning of my addiction, my mom used to always kind of say, like, you need to get right. You need to fix up your act. You know what I mean? Sort your stuff out. And in the end, it was more like her loving me and supporting me, and that made a big difference in my life. So I'm not going to say thanks for letting me share. So thanks.
And I would really like to hear from Ashan finally, because I don't think we've got many more people to speak to. We don't have time, Kai. We're just running out, and there's so much to speak about, and there's so many amazing people in the room. Hello, Ashan.
Hi, Mel.
How are you?
I'm excited.
You always say that, and you always say that in such a beautiful way.
I have joy.
I know you do.
My name is Ocean Mukubani. I'm a missionary. I'm actually puzzled that there are no priests in here. Part of the community where we could be able to work with our communities and heal them are the churches. And as a Christian, since I became a recovery coach, I realized that we Christians are total hypocrites. Where is that love if we have children in the streets? Where is that love if we are ashamed as parents who have children who are using at the end of the day? Where is that love if we all believe you're not a good mother if your child is using or a hijacker? I'm just happy about one thing. Kaya, you've just made us a good favor. Mel is sitting in front of me, a beautiful mother, and Kaya is sitting in front of me, a gentleman. And he went to jail, Mel used. I am blessed you did that because you've just given South Africa hope. We cannot give up on our youth.